and then so that was traveling for 2 hours. It was an overnight flight because it was the cheapest one, so I had barely any sleep. And then caught this long bus, maybe got a couple hours sleep, and then arrived in Laksa. And so I'm very tired, and it's the end of the day, like end of the night, maybe 9 p.m. And then start walking with my bags and all my shit like to the hostel that I booked. And then as I get to the hostel, it's kind of down a side street. And in Egypt, they're very haggling you, like everybody's trying to get at you, so it takes a lot of your energy to be like, no, 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 no.
Yeah, they're definitely known online anyway to be like hustlers over there.
For sure. Like you think like hustler, and you think like, well, I think it's like a Morocco, or like that's probably the only thing I can compare it to. And it's like, yeah, that's hustling, but in Egypt, I feel like it's much more. There's much more commitment in it. They will follow you for a long time.
Like more aggressive.
More aggressive, yeah. And you'll be saying no, but they'll keep following you for a long time. And so, yeah, I finally got to this hostel, which was down a side street. It was a little bit quieter. There wasn't as many people there. And then there was this guy coming out of the hostel who spoke very good English, which wasn't like very common. They all spoke English, but not like really good. And so, yeah, he was coming out and he said, oh, like, you've arrived late. And I said, oh, I know, like, I've just taken this night bus. I've been traveling all day. He's like, yeah, all good. This is my family's hostel. Like, just jump in, like, drop your bags off. There's someone there now. They'll be able to see you. I'm just popping out to get groceries. Like, I'll be back. And I can give you, like, a tour of the city. And I was like, oh, I can show you where to go and where not to go. I'm like, okay, cool. And I was very excited to get out because I was, in Egypt. So I like dropped my bags off straight away, and then I went straight out and started walking around. Went down to like the temple part and and had a look around. It was awesome. And then started walking back after a little bit of like exploration. And then I saw this guy again who had groceries in his hand and was walking back to the hostel. I'm like, okay. And then he starts talking to me. He's like, yeah. Like this is, so you're going to get a lot of hagglers and a lot of scammers. Like this is like part of our culture. It's what we do. Yeah. And this is how you say no to them. Like, I can't remember how to say it. I wish I did. And yeah. And like, is there anything you need? Because I'll show you the places to go get it. I was like, oh yeah, like some tea would be fantastic. And so he was like, okay, I know a good tea place. Like this is like the main road, but there's a tea shop. Like all of this stuff's super expensive because it's like the main touristy parts. There's a tea shop like around the corner, and I'm like, okay, sweet. And then like he took me to this tea shop. He said, meet my friend. Like this is how we do like a traditional like Egyptian tea tasting and whatnot. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I like sat down, and it was cool, man. Like they had like a whole bunch of like teas. It was like a proper store. So many like containers of tea, and I just made my pick, and then he gave me a bag. It was probably like this big, maybe.
Of like tea leaves or like
tea leaves, yeah.
Okay.
And then because I had exchanged money, but I wasn't very prepared for Egypt, and so like I had money, but I hadn't worked out any exchange rates or nothing like that. So he said a certain amount, and it was like 800 Egyptian pounds or something like that. But anyway, it was like converted, it was like $25 New Zealand, which is a hectic price to pay for tea, especially in Egypt. But I didn't realize that at the time. Paid it, and then just kind of like trusting this guy. But yeah, definitely shouldn't have. And then he started taking me back, and then I started thinking about it a bit more, and he was taking me kind of being a bit more like, what else do you need? What else do you need? And I was thinking, this is a bit weird now, actually. Like you're trying too hard. And then I got back and I was like, no, I don't need anything. Like, I'm sweet. And then he like kept persisting, and then I went, oh fuck, I've just paid too much for tea. I beat you. And then I finally got rid of him. I said, look, I'm done. I'm gonna go back to the hostel. And then, he was like, okay, sweet. Like walking me to the hostel, but then didn't go in the hostel. And I was like, okay, sweet. And then I like asked the hostel people, I was like, is that guy out there? And they're like, nah, he hangs around out the front and waits for our guests to come there, and then does his big spiel, and then does what he's just done.
Crazy.
And
surely
then
they warn you out when you go drop your bags off.
Yeah. They said they said now they say on the email, beware. we'll never show you around or wait outside the hostel or something.
That's good.
That's what I said, because I told them, I said that it's really like quite compelling. Like I know I shouldn't have fallen for it, but it's a very compelling case that he makes, like to show you around. Anyway, they told me that they're very scared of the police, and so they said go back to him and say you want to return this tea or you'll tell the police. And then I said, okay, why not? And then I took this bag of tea because I was like obviously tired and I was frustrated that I just spent $25 on tea, so I stormed back down there. And then I didn't find him, so I went back to the tea place and I said, oh, I want a refund. And he was like, okay. And then just gave me my money back straight away. Yeah.
And I wonder, like, if it was that guy's shop or if he just got a little commission.
Would have been commission based.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it has to be commission based because it was that guy's shop. Like he was there. Yeah, but he was also saying like the guy who like ushered me around was saying, is there anything else you need, like anywhere else you need to go? So he probably gets a commission from like everyone's store.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I wonder then if they gave it to him and then they had to give you your money back and then they lose out.
Well, funny, I saw him the next day and like, cause I came out, but he was, and he said, oh, you returned the tea. And I just said, no, I don't want to like talk to you, but I spent way too much money.
Yeah.
I like trusted you. And and he was like, no, but it's good tea. I'm like, oh, well, you don't get it. Like, I'm not keen. Yeah. And then,
go buy my 50-cent tea.
And then he gave me a piece of advice to, like, how to say no to hagglers. And so that day later, I was out in the, like, looking at statues and some guy came up to me and I used it and he laughed initially. And then he came up to me afterwards and said, that's very rude. Like, you want to be careful. Like, I was like, oh, shit. I'm so, like, lucky that you told me that in a nice way, I guess.
Say that in an alley, like, no. And they're like, what did you say?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, fuck.
Did you Google Translate it? Find out what it said?
I didn't. I've probably still got it on my phone.
It'd be interesting, though.
Yeah, they said it's a very, like, you can say that, but it's a very, like, rude way of saying it.
Confrontational.
Confrontational, probably, yeah.
Yeah, Buzzy, the old scams.
Yeah, and so that made me think. It's like I thought I was good, but then you end up in that situation. And it's like, how have I just been fucking scammed? And I think that's like my mum got scammed, and I'm sure it's the same sort of feeling where it's like, how did I do that?
Yeah, well, it's everyone that gets scammed. You think maybe I'm quite ignorant saying that I think I'm aware of scams because one day I'll get scammed and I'll be like, damn, maybe not.
Yeah.
But I'm more just thinking I know people that have got the text, which is a big scam in New Zealand, the NZTA, you've got a fine outstanding, and they like click the link. But I think just whenever I get anything like that, I just literally just delete it. And I get emails saying like, you haven't paid your tax properly and shit. And I don't know, I just feel like, nah, don't believe it.
Yeah. I mean, do you think the younger generation is better at looking at that sort of stuff because they're used to it?
I think so. But then, I mean, it's only going to keep getting better and better, right? Isn't the scams? They're going to get more complicated.
Yeah, it's true. But do you reckon we'll
keep up?
Keep up, exactly.
I don't know. I guess so. If it what's that part of your brain? Like the learning part?
No idea.
No. Yeah. I guess if you can keep that going, then you would think so. Why not? If you keep up with the times.